start, let me also run the project, okay? Just a second. I need to arrange my my windows. Okay, so let me open my Visual Studio and then run the project in browser.
Mic off.
Okay, I click run, and I will go to Firefox. All right, so main category, we have subcategory, and then on the right-hand side, we show feature product for the main category. And remember, you need to do this. You need to click one of the subcategory and then show all the products for that subcategory here, and also change the wording. Okay, now we are going to do the product detail page. All right, so what we need to do is from this showing, we need to make image and also the product number or product description as a hyperlink. So if we click it, we can then go to product detail page. Okay, and then we'll develop the product detail page. And no, and also before that, okay, up to this point, we are using we're taking a easy route to handle the database. So we're using SQL data source. So all you need to do is just specify the ODBC connection string, and then you have a data bound control. Then you bind the data bound control to the SQL data source. Then when you open that page in your page load event, and automatically ASP.NET will then just execute the SQL data source, get the data, and then let the data bound control. In this case, we've been using repeater to access data and then display it. How do we display it? We use the the template, to repeat, right? To repeat, the number of times we have in that data container, in the SQL data source. In our case, okay, it is number one, main categories. Second, that's for here. And for this is subcategory for main category. For here, it is the is in your product table, where subcategory equal to where category ID equal to the main category, and also feature equal to Y. Right. So that's so far what we have been doing. Now I'm going to do the last small part, okay, to use this SQL data source. Right. I'm going to use a different data bound control. In this case, it is not a something that you can create, something that you can customize, like this repeater. Okay, let me go to the Visual Studio. Go to Visual Studio. like oh, not this. Where's my supposed to go? Like this like category.svx, all right? You see here, we have this item template to repeat, the number, records inside a container being, cached, being, controlled by the SQL data source. Okay, and the repeater is one of the okay, stop. The repeater, okay, the repeater is one of the data bound controls. So if you go to data, category, all the web control is this, you have freedom, to do whatever you want, okay? Okay. Now, there's some other, data bound control that you have limited freedom to do what you want to display. Now, for example, this in the standard, okay, in the standard category, there is control called drop down list. All right, there's some control here. You can also bind it to a data source, like drop down, it's a checkbox list. Those control that allows you to display multiple, items of data. Now, let's say we want to use this here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is in the template master page, I am going to, now here we have this product, right? And on the right of the product, I'm going to do this, call this product 2. Okay. We also want to repeat this. No, we're not repeating anything, under this product 2. Okay. So I am going to, let me see what I can do. Okay, so all right, so what I'm going to do is let's use it, so let's use this one. This is call that product 3. What I want to do is I wanted to one second. What I want to do is I wanted to also display main category. Okay, main category. So what I'm going to do is, no, don't go through. Just use this LI. Okay. You see every single, every single UL. We, every single LI inside we have for the drop down. Okay, for that drop down, we using UL, right? And then inside that drop down, we're using another LI to display, options. So for that 404, okay, what I'm going to do is I am going to, we're not going to repeat, something using, using the repeater. What I want to do is just use a drop down list. So again, I go to here, I just click this drop down list, drag it here. Okay. Give it a name, drop down list. Main category. All right. And we can, we can also bind this to data source here. This can be, this can be used, can be shared, okay? So what we need to do is we go to the property, specify the, data source, let me just do it here. Data source ID property of this drop-down list. Okay. Now, of course, I can show you, when you go to, where's my property window. So let me go to view, find that property window. Okay. And then, so the property window is on the right. I click this one, and then the property window will then show all the parameters for this, okay, for this control. And then you see this data source ID. But you can go here and then, to insert this SQL data source main category, or you can just, if you, already know, data source ID is one of the parameters, you can just type it in. Okay, so by doing that, I'm actually using a drop-down list to show main categories. But let's take a look at it. Okay, let's take a look at it. Well, I'm sorry, I made a mistake here. It shows something, but it does not show, the actual result. All right, just a second. So one more thing I need to do. There's one more thing I need to do. So let me just copy. So let me go back to Visual Studio, and not just SQL data source. Another thing is, what do you want to show, right? SQL data source actually contains 3 records with multiple data fields, and what we want to show is category name. So I forgot to do this, to specify category name for the data value field property of this drop-down list. All right, let me see if I can just refresh it. All right, so all right, see here, now I have desktop, laptop, tablet. Okay, so from this point on, we're not going to use this simple way of getting data out from database. We're not going to use SQL data source. We need to learn how do we actually write our own code to access database. All right, so with that, I have to go back to the development live guide and show you ADO.NET, okay, this active data object.NET, which is the database, operation, provided by .NET. Okay. Now, let's take a look at this this graph here. Now we have on the right hand side we have web form. Okay. Like default ISBX, like category ISBX. Now, after we learn how to do this, we're going to have product detailed ISBX. And then in that, web form, we have data bound control. Okay. Here I just say data control, right? It is actual data bound control, right? But we are not going to, we're not going to use data source. So that data, SQL data source will be replaced by 3 objects or 3 classes: connection, command, adapter, okay, and data container. Okay, now this data adapter is optional, all right? There are 2 types of data container. One is data reader, another one is data set. All right, here I have this data reader here. Here I have data set. Now, I will tell you the difference between these 2. So basically, all right, so we need, I should be, just, 3 objects, at least 3 objects, 3 classes: connection, command, and data container. All right, and here is your data store, database, tables. The first thing we need to do is create connection. Okay, connect using the connection object and tell the connection where the database is. All right, what is the database? So 2 pieces of information. Okay, where is the database? What type of database? Okay, the 2 combined is called what? It's called connection string. Remember, we created a connection string, already created, right? That connection string basically contains 2 pieces of information. One is the ODBC driver, right? What type of database? Another one is what is the name of the database. So as a matter of fact, I think I should show you that one more time. The web file, the actual connection string. Okay, so let me go back to Visual Studio. So inside your web configure file, we have this connection string node, and this is one of the connection string we create. And if you take a look at the connection string itself, you have data source, right? And it also basically tell you it is MS SQL. Okay, in this case, it's a local, database, and also the name of the database. So the whole thing is, ODBC, driver, right? And some other thing is just more like utility, security. How long do you want to get a hold of this database? By default 30 minutes, something like that. Okay. All right. So let me go back to. The first thing to do is create a connection object, which contains the connection string. Connection string contains ODBC driver, information, and also the name of the database. Okay, so the 2, database, but connection is more like a bridge. Once you, what kind of bridge? The bridge is actually between data store and your web form. It's like a bridge like this. So once you create the connection as a bridge, all right, you need to open the bridge. When you create, or when you substantiate the connection class, so you have connection object in memory. That connection object serves as a bridge between data store and web form. You still need what? You still need to transform, go into the data store, get the data, transport it, okay, and then to the web form, so data control can use it. Now, connection string, we only have what? We only tell the ASP.NET, ADO.NET that this is the database we're using. So here's the ODBC, and this is the name of the database. We still need to tell to the ADO.NET, hey, what exactly data do we need? And that is being managed, controlled, maintained, updated. I'm talking about updating on the fly. Anytime you can do it by the command object. Okay, so the command object actually contains what? Question to you: what does this command object, what information should we give it to this command object? Conceptually, to think about it. In order for you to go to data store to get data out, okay, you need a bridge. Once you open the bridge, that means what? It means there's connection between data store and the web form, and then we connect to what? Connect to the database, okay, which is Microsoft SQL, database. All right, and then in order for data to arrive here, what does this command object need to know?
Some SQL statements.
That's right. We need to tell what is the data we need. So good, 1 point. Okay, so command object is actually there to to hold the key. Okay, to hold the what do you call that? The command. Okay, to tell to go to the data store to get data. All right, one more time. All right. First thing to do is create connection object. So we know where the database, what type of database, what is the database, okay, something like that. And then once we create that connection object, we still need to open that object. You can close it, you can open it. It's just like a bridge. You set up, you build a bridge. That's infrastructure. You still need a gate. And then you can think about ODBC driver. It's just like a truck. The truck, okay. And then you need to tell the truck, hey, when you go over there, go over to the other side of the bridge, all right, into the data store, the warehouse. This is the data what we want, and that data is a SQL statement, all right, and that's being handled by command object. So then you're gonna have a question: why not let connection handle? Because these two are very different. One is just to handle the connection, another one is command. And we set up this command as an object, and that means what? You can hard code it when you create this command, or at runtime, not at design time, at runtime, anytime, because an object you can always, update the select command, right? The SQL statement at runtime, anytime. That's the reason we want to use object, right? Otherwise, just write a lot of code. All right, so the command is also in control, right? So once we have this bridge and we know the driver is ODB's driver is that Microsoft typing the ODB driver, and this command will tell the driver, hey, go so the command will execute it, right? Execute it and tell the driver, go over there. This is the select statement. All right, get the data and go back. Now, when we go back, we're not going to dump that data directly into web form. We're going to put it into a data container called data reader. So when we use the SQL data source before, okay, we don't get to see that data reader. It's actual or data set. Okay, it could be either one of them. Yeah, but if we write our own database, lighter code, we need to create our own data reader, and this is another object, and you just dump the data into this object, right? And then this data control can use the data reader, right? The way we use it, we need to write code. It's not called data, it's not called binding anymore. Okay. So you see, so as long as we can bring the data and save the data in the data reader. And over here, you can do whatever you want, right? We have access to the data. It's not like, the SQL server, I mean, the SQL data source. It's inside that SQL data source. All you can do is just buy a data bound control to it. Other than that, you cannot do anything. So the way you get data out is eval, right? And then the name that data field. No. Once we have data in the data reader, we can do a lot of things. We can sort it. We can do it. Do whatever we want. Okay. Now, data set. The difference between data reader and data set is data reader is very simple. It's only it's good for simple database operation like delete, like add a record, update a record, delete a record, and select get some data out. So the purpose is once you execute it, you're done. You don't need to keep that data. Just put in here. You don't need to do something back to the data store. Right. For example, if you select you issue a select element from command, okay, and you just get data and put it here. That's it. You can cut connection even. You still have the data here and use it. And you can what? You can also issue a update command or issue an add insert command, and then execute it, and you add one data into the table, and once it's done, you're done. Okay, so it is just for simple operations. Now data set is different. Data set is almost like a small DBMS. You can store multiple data table in there. You can do a lot of create views. Okay, you can do a lot of data database operation. Okay, and after you're done, you can dump all the data being updated or whatever process back to the data store. So this one take a lot of memory. This one is simple. All right. so for right now, we are dealing just very simple kind of database operation. So most of the time we're using data reader. Okay, so remember, right? When we write our code, we need to create connection object. We need to create command object. We need to create data reader, and also inside connection. We need to let know the connection string, and in the command we need to issue the SQL command, and once command execute the SQL command, and we will have the data automatically as a result, and then show here. If we do the select, okay, if we just just simple, if it's simple, just like adding a record to it, when you execute it, you're done. All right, so remember that. Now we're going to go back to Visual Studio. We're going to create product detail page, and then product detail page. Why product detail page? Because when we work in product detail page, we only need one product. One specific product, right? So in other words, we don't really need that SQL data source or the data bound control like a repeater, so we can repeat a number of times of the record. It's just one. So what we need to do, we just write our own database code, putting data back, and then display data on the product detail page. Okay, so from this point on, we're going to use a lot of this database command, line of code. So let's do this. Let's create a product detail page, ASPX. So project, add new item. All right, we need this web form with master page, same thing. We're gonna call this one product detail, ASPX, add. Choose this template. Okay. Then we have this product detail page. And again, right? So all the content for this page is dynamic. It should be inside this, content placeholder. And what we're going to do here, we need to take a look at the, the detail, right? And we need to find a page from the HTML template. So let's go over there. So it is in the eShopper. Okay, so it's actually there is a product detail page. So I'm going to run this page. I want to run that in Firefox. And then I'll show you that in Firefox. Okay, so this is the HTML template. You see, we still have this 3 column on that. We don't need to have it. Okay, we can keep it in for something else because we don't know how to use this one to publish in a subcategory. What we need to use is the right hand, the columns on the right hand side, and you have an image here, and then you have this product name, and this should be product number, and we have this rating image, in terms of image. We'll talk about this later. Price, right? We have a quantity box, and add a card, button, and something else. And image, we have a big image. We also have small image in this carousel, and also a tab here. This is pretty common, right? Pretty common. I think the temporary download may have the same thing. You have this image, rotating image, and you also have a tab here, so you can click, detail, profile, and some other information. All these can be customized. A lot of data can be just from database. All right, so we're gonna focus on this page now. Okay, so again, let's go back to Visual Studio, and let's bring that product detail, the HTML page out. All right, so it is product detail HTML. So bring that into this this working area. I want to take a look at the place, the actual divisions that we need. Okay, so should be down here, container, all right, container, and row, and then we have 3 columns and 9 columns, right? Okay, so we need these 2. Copy, and then go to product detail.spx, paste it into this content placeholder. Again, make sure you indent them well, so easier for you to read. Now, on the left hand side, let me just delete, because we don't need them. Okay, so right now let me just right, so nothing on the left, make it blank. Okay, but in practice, you may want to still keep that subcategory. In that case, from the category SPX, when you create a link, I have not created a link yet. I forgot. I will go back and create a link. You have to again transfer, the main category ID, subcategory ID. Okay, so we can keep that there as always. Yeah, we can do that again, later when we have time. Now, what we need to do is really the right hand, column. Okay, and what we need to do is we have image here and here. This has to be dynamic. Okay. And down here, we want to, this is that, No, this is a new, new tag. We don't need it. The new, image. And this one is going to be replaced by a label control. So we can show the category name. All right, so we call that, oh, yeah. How come there's no name here? No ID. We'll do it one more time. Isn't it weird, huh? They should give you the ID. So I have to type ID yourself. I'll call this one LBL. Product name. Okay. Just a second. All right. Then for here, we can do the display, the product number. And down here, price. Right? And then we can clear the original text. Clear it. Okay. So make sure that's correct. Make sure it's correct before we. Okay. Now we have those labels here. Control. Code behind. We will insert the value for text. That's the way to show, right? So we need to work on the code behind. But before we do that, let's go back to category.aspx. Now, what we need to do is in the product here, okay, we want to make the image. Here's the image. We want to make that as a link. With a URL.
Professor, this is on the category.aspx page. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's from, yeah. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, let me show you back to the, oh, I don't have that here. Okay. Let me go back home. Remember we have this, feature product. We're gonna make this image a link, and also probably this product, the product name as a link. That's what I'm working on right now. You get it?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so that's in category.aspx. So here's a link. All right. So when you click it, we're gonna request product detail.aspx question mark again. Here we're gonna call it product ID equals to, and then remember, this. That's the way you get the value out of it, and it's going to be ID, right? Product ID. I remember the name data field is product ID. It should be product ID. Okay. And same link, we can put it here down to product name. Okay, and here we can have, add a car, or we don't have add a car. It depends. Okay, so let's keep it here for now. Okay. So this is in category.aspx page. All right, so let me run it first. Okay, let me run it first. Did I run it? Okay. All right. I need to go back to, to Windows view. Okay, so run it. Let me go to the browser Firefox. It's running. There you go. So we're going to desktop. From here, you see, this is product one. No, let me click it. You're going to request product detail ASPX product ID 1. We don't have that yet. Okay. So if you click, like here, this desktop 222, and the product ID is 2, right? Okay. So what we need to do is to work on the code behind. Okay, the code behind of this product detail SPX, so we can at runtime go to database, put it in, get that product ID, based on product ID, and then display data. And display data. I lost the place here, right? Label. All right, so we're gonna hit F7 key as a shortcut to go to the code behind of that SPX page. And we always have this page load, right, as a default event. And right now we need to start coding. Now, the first thing we need to do is on top, because we are, we are writing, database code. We need a couple of very important, database classes, library. Okay, so we need import. So let me just get that. We need to import 2 classes. All right, one is data system data. This is the model class, okay? And then we have this, system data SQL client. This will handle, SQL, database. All right, and after that, we can create our connection object. We can create our command object and a data reader object. These 2 are very, very important. All right, same thing. I'm not going to, I'm not going to, all right, to write everything. Okay, I'm not going to write everything. So I just copy and paste and then explain that to you. Just a second. Okay, just a second. Okay, so there we go. Now, again, the first thing we do is we also have to check to see if this, product ID, query variable exists or not, right? If not, we don't run it. Okay, so if this is satisfied, all right. So first of all, we create a string variable that contains the the connection string. And the way we do that is a little bit different from SQL data source. Okay, it's system.configuration.configuration manager.connection string, and the name of connection string. Okay. So again, this is from web configure file. Just memorize this syntax, and you don't need to change anything every time. A lot of time for one application, there's only just if you only handle one database, of course in that database you have a lot of table, and very much you only have one connection string. So you just create a very beginning and use it for all your application, and then dim dimension. That's the way to to declare, okay, and declare an object. So dim connection product as SQL connection. Now this is the connection class for SQL, not for Access database, for example. For Access database, called OLE connection, OLE DB connection. Let me write here. It's called OLE DB connection or access. All right, this is a comment. Okay, so we declare a connection object here. We declare a command object. It's also SQL command. Okay, we declare a data reader object. Okay, then we create a string variable for the SQL command. The SQL command is select everything from product. I want to make it all consistent from product where ID. Now I think this here should be product ID equals to, in this case it's number. So convert that to integer and request the product ID. Okay. So that is the SQL statement. Then we're going to use what? This is called object constructor. Very similar to Java. Okay, and we're using new new keyword, and this is a constructor. Okay, connection constructor. What you need to do is you just put that string connection string, which is being stored in this variable. And once you execute this, the result is an object. So here we just declare. Now here we substantiate the object, the connection object. Okay, same thing for the command object. We need to use a new keyword and the constructor. All right, and then you need two pieces of information. One is the SQL command, and another one is connection object. Remember, okay. All right, so when these are done already, you need to open the bridge. In this case, is connection. Okay, open it, and then what? Then we're going to run the SQ reader method of the command object. In this case, is CMD product. All right. Once executed, that means what? It means you tell the ODBC driver to go over the bridge, go to that data store based on what we need, bring that the product ID if it exists. Okay, back, and then what? And then store in the data container. In other words, once you execute this SQ reader method, the result is automatically a data reader. But we do need to have a corresponding data reader to receive it. So this is the way this is the way it reads. SQ, okay, again, SQ what? SQ, we're going to send that ODBC driver over the bridge to the data store, getting that product, come back, all right, and then that product will be stored here. Now, if this product ID exists, okay. Now, what's inside this one is a lot of time the connection object can be reused. So once you use it, you need to close it. If you don't close it, it's being cached. You're being used still by that operation. So this is just a handy way of just closing. So we don't need. You can actually somewhere down here we can say connection conn product dot close. But one of the sometimes you may forget, right? So this is a handy way. As a matter of fact, probably should be more efficient. Just put in here. Once executed, once it's successful, close it. Close connection. All right. And then once we have this data can reader, and we need to make sure that there's one record inside. If there's no record, nothing, we're going to do nothing. It depends on whether this product ID exists or not. Now, most of the time it should exist, right? Because we actually click that link from the category page, category ASCA page, right? Either the image, product image, or the product name. And then we already we dynamically creating the link with the product ID equal to the actual value. So if the user click it, it should be a record, but you never know. The power user will just alter the number. Later on, toward the end of this semester, I will show you how the online store can be hacked. Okay, so everything you send out from a browser, okay, can be intercepted by a browser proxy, and you can change value there before you send it over to the server. So it is a practice, normal practice. You always have to check. And how do you check it? You run this read property. Okay, this read will tell you whether there is any records in the in this data reader or not. So this is to make sure there's record. This is also good for what if you have like 3 records, 5 records, a number of records inside this data reader. In this case, there's only 1. Okay, and you can write a routine later on. We have that example. Okay, we want to write a routine to go to loop through this data reader from record number 1 to record number 3. Let's say you have 3. In sequential order. Then you can just do something like do while this is still true. Now this will return you true or false. So if you have like a looping kind of routine, and this become the key, right? So every time when you loop, you're going to see whether there's any record still. All right, so you from the first record, you move to the second one, you move the cursor down the third one, let's say reach to the bottom. When you come back, you still run this, it's going to return you false, and then you stop. Now in our case, we just want to know whether there's any record. So we use if then. Right, if there is record, so if there's a match, now product name text equal to now. The way you get the value out from one of the data field name is data reader, the item, and the name of the data field. All right, so we have product name, product number, and there's one more. For the price, dot text equal to price. That's it, right? So that's the way, so from this point on, we're going to use a lot of code like this. So every time when you need to access, need to get some data directly from database, we just customize this code. We don't need to rewrite every single line. And you just remember, make sure that connections is still the same. And you can change the name of the object. All right, and of course, SQL statement is going to be different. And that's it. Right, and again, the name of these 3 objects, the connection object, command object, and the data reader object can be different. Everything else is the same. But a very important thing is you do need to understand why. Okay, why we're doing this line, why this line, okay, and why we are, running this, execute reader. So. Very important. Now we're going to run it. Desktop. All right, I'm going to click this, the first one, okay? Click it. There we go. It's desktop 111. You know, it's, this should be, you know, it's, we should get, you know, we should display product number, not product ID. Here's the price, right? Now, of course, we need to learn how to create dynamic image. And in your, you know, it's, now, you know, so if we have time, I show how to do this. Okay. And how do we do this? You know, create dynamic content for, you know, each tag. All right, so let's go back to Visual Studio. All right, so this is database operation. Now, let me go back to development lives, development guide. So for product detail page, we create dynamic URL, you know, from the category ASPX. Now in product detail ASPX DB, we develop script, you know, in ADO.NET to gather to get product info from product table. And in product detail ASPX, we show, you know, product number, product name, and product description. Again, there's a bonus. Want you to, you know, create a. You see this. Let me go play out. Okay, I need to run it again. All right, let me run it again. Okay, again, desktop. All right, you see this rating? Okay. In the product table, you can add one more data field called ratings. Data types integer. And then for every single product, you can enter, you know, the rating between 1 and 5. And then you can get a start image, like this small image like this. Then you can write a return routine. Okay. You can write a routine inside this, you know, this page load, and also inside this, you know, this black block, and should be somewhere here. And put here. Display rating images base rating value from the now here you can create a routine. Okay, a routine. And at this point in time, you know, we have this, you know, this product, right? And this data reader, and we should be able to access the, you know, rating value from writing dr product, the item, and then write it, and then rate it. Once you have a number, and you can create a routine for next loop to run from 1 to the number of the rating. If there's 1, you just run once. rating 3. You run 3 times. Every time you run it, you're going to create an image tag, HTML tag. So you're going to concatenate image. If the rating value is 3, you have 3 image tags. And every single image tag just use one that's small in a star. And that's going to be a bonus for you guys to do. But it's we don't have time, not much time. What I'm trying to do next is this. So let me go back to now here. Okay, this one is directly from the main category, from category, right? This one is we use a SQL data source and then a repeater. Now, let me tell you, theoretically, okay, and everything, the HTML can be written by script or code behind. Okay. In other words, so let me go to back to Visual Studio. So let's go to template master, here. Template master is up here. All right, here. Under this product, mouse over, we have SQL data source or repeater. Okay. And I can use product number 2 here, okay, and have a label, and create a label, and create a label. And we're going to call this one LBL. Main category. And the label will contain all of these. Okay, now let me show you what that is. Okay, let me first just delete this too. What I want to do is, now let's go back to the browser here. There's a browser, so let me read the data source, the page source. Okay, like this, right? Okay, all these can be created by script in the code behind. We're using repeater to do it. But if we if we can, like I say, right now we can what? We can write our own database code and access the category table and bring the main category from the category table, right? And then we can use script to write this. In other words, we're going to run that data reader, okay? And every time we have a record in main category, we're going to write one like this, and then move to the second record of the data reader and write this one and concatenate it, this one to this one, and then move to the third record. When we're done, and then this will be what will be write it to the label text. And you're going to have the same thing as this one. So sometimes, if you don't, if there's some more customized, there's more dynamic kind of, content, and this will not give you, that flexibility, you may just want to just write by yourself. Okay. I will do that next Monday. Now this is, a part of a demo. It's not your homework, but I want to show you how, how we can do that. Now, in this class, I'm teaching you ASP.NET. Okay, that's the only, this is only a class you learn ASP.NET, which is very, very popular. It's one of the, I think it's even more popular than the PHP. Now, again, the PHP is like street technology. It's so easy, everybody can learn it. and get some code. And but ASP.NET is a lot more formal. Okay, and it has a very powerful IDE, which is Visual Studio. So we have to know how to use it in ASP.NET, before you graduate. And the way we learn is learn by example. So far is when we need it, we learn it. Okay, it's and the way we do that, the way we create our online store is we use a ready to use professional developed HTML template, and then we learn how to customize it from the server side. Right, and the server side, ASP.NET, we have a lot of libraries, a lot of classes, and writing our code to it. And if you use some other, scripting, kind of platform, environment like PHP or some other thing, idea is about the same, right? It's not the same. So if you know how to customize, your website by using ASP.NET, you can do that by using PHP, same thing. And then inside this ASP.NET, I'm teaching you very ground level, low level called web form. Now, web form, by teaching that, it will give you a more idea of what exactly happened, in ASP.NET. Now, nowadays people are using this something called MVC or something called Core. That's high level kind of design. It's a design approach. Okay. Again, you can just spend like 2 hours, 1 hour, even 2 hours, watching a Google video, YouTube video. You know how to do it. No big deal. But it's good that I teach you those lower level things. So what's request, what's response, back and forth, right? And then Monday, I'm going to also show you how to do this. Log in, log out, and that has to deal something called session. And session management is very, very important for all the web applications. Okay, so I will zip what I've done today, and then this weekend is very important because I still have a lot to do on Monday. Make sure you catch up, this weekend. All right, so download my demo, just review what I've learned, and then apply that to your own template. Okay, and next Wednesday is going to be a lecture, watching, so you stay home working on your project. And the following Monday, I'm going to do a little bit more, the program, demoing. And that Wednesday, I will have to grade your project number 1. Okay, so actually 2 weeks from project 1 is due. So, okay, work hard for it, okay? Now I need to take a roll. So if you have any questions, you can still ask me, but I'm doing it very quick. Joselle,